Well, hello, chaps and chaps-ettes. That's the one, chaps and chapettes. Welcome to the Quantum Quiz, a chat show where I kind of make it crazy and funny. Hence, it's me. Yeah, I'm crazy and funny. This is the Quantum Quiz. Why? Because I'm going to put my special guest through the Quantum Leap Challenge. I'm going to put them into the shoes of Sam Beckett. They're going to be time traveling into different people's bodies, and we want to know who they're going to travel into and why. For two reasons. Maybe there's someone that wants to just be in someone else's shoes and like be the fly on the wall and experience a bit of their life, and maybe absorb a bit of their character. Or maybe they want to go back in that person and actually change history, make things better, or make things worse just for the sake of it. Yes. But what will our guest do? Let me introduce to you Peter F. the Shark Shirey. Shirey. Rewind. Let's stop and redo this. No.
That's okay. You are one of 1,000 people that mispronounce my last name. It's a common occurrence, which doesn't bother me at all. So
I should think of you as a hobbit, and then it'd be so much easier.
That's what I tell people. It's like the Shire with the E on the end.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter Shirey. He's from Cool Mini or Not. He's actually the play manager and retail relations coordinator, which means that he does lots of playing and retailing.
Yeah, basically, I'm in charge of our retailers' organized play program. So that allows them to get demo copies or to get our retail pledges, get information about those programs. And then I also handle all of our North American, basically customer service to retailers. So if a retailer has an issue, they contact me. And if we can't fix it, we pass them on to our distributor, Asmodee, who does our distribution, and then they fix it. So we're basically, I'm their one-man point of contact to make things easier for them, because we all know how busy our friendly local game store retailers are.
Berkey says, how big is your hobbit hole?
Oh, hey, it is ginormous. Thanks, Berkey.
Okay, we're going to jump right in. And if you're watching live, you can join in and play with us, because this is a bit of a game show thing. We're going to be asking, I'm going to be asking Pete this question. If he was Sam Beckett and he was to quantum leap into a musician, someone from the music industry, who would it be and why?
Okay, that's a great question. Instantly, it comes to mind who I would pick. And this is going to be, for people that know me, this is not a surprise at all, but it would be John Williams. John Williams, who did the theme song for Jaws, my favorite movie of all time. Also did all the music for Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, John Williams's musical direction has influenced my life as a child so much, from all these famous movie franchises. I would easily love to be in his shoes and see the processes and things that he did, and just be in all the things he got to see before the movies even released, the advanced screenings, the creative process, being on set for some stuff to get ideas on how to orchestrate. It would be amazing to go back in time into the late 70s and early 80s and 90s and see John Williams's processes and all of the cool things he got to see that most people don't. That's an easy leap for me for musical. As much as I love like metal and hard rock, and I'd love to say, I'd love to go, be in Vince Neil's shoes during a Motley Crue party. That's, but John Williams, without a doubt, hands down, would absolutely be an ideal jump for me in the music.
He has done a lot of influential music, hasn't he? I mean, there's things that you'll probably sing in when you don't even know you're singing it.
Mm-hmm.
The instances in your life. I mean, I know my daughter's big on sharks as well, so it's like Jaws theme here is a quite well-known theme, and when we're playing games, even if it's not a shark in the game, we will do the Jaws theme.
The da-dum. When things are getting bad, you can always do that theme, and everyone knows something bad's coming. So or it's the old Star Wars the Imperial March. Yeah, he's so many iconic. I mean, you could spend an hour diving into all the things that he's done influentially for movies and music. So it's just. It's an easy pick for me. It's a homer pick, because everyone, anyone who knows me knows that's a surefire person I'd want to be able to jump into. But it's definitely, he'd be number one on my list.
Okay. That's very interesting. Again, I wasn't really sure, but when you said when John Williams came out, sorry, French mixing in there, sauté. When John Williams came out of your mouth, it was like, oh yeah, that's obvious. That is
if you know me, if you know me, that's you're not surprised by that answer at all. Even though it's not like a metal, everyone knows I like heavy metal and hard rock too. But for someone who does more classical music, some people might think that's a little strange. But when you think of all the work he's done, 3 of my favorite movie franchises he's done the music for, so it's a slam dunk.
Okay, so Jaws, Star Wars. What's the third?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did some of the music for that as well. So
yeah, again, that's very intricate and interesting, that music. I being a musician, I play the themes sometimes, and that one is the most interesting one out of the 3, I think.
And we're not even tapping other stuff too, because I believe he did music for Close Encounters. I think I mean, if you look under his IMDb, you're just like, oh, I love that movie. Oh, I love that movie. Oh, I love it. And you're going all the way down the list. Like it's one after another after another. So
yeah, and again, he's started a kind of a nuance in music, you know, which other composers started following, like James Horner and some others.
Danny Elfling or Elfling, I can't remember. Yeah, there's a couple other famous composers that take their inspiration from Williams. He's like a coach. He's like, I got a coaching tree of composers underneath him that have just followed his work and used him as inspiration. So.
Yeah, and again, his music is kind of like mainstream. The themes, you know, they are hummable, whereas a lot of films, they're not so hummable, you know, even...
I reckon if you went down the street and asked people and named 5 composers and John Williams was one of them, that's the only one most of these people would know. They'd be like, John Williams, oh yeah, Star Wars, Jaws. But you name like 5 other composers, unless they're like Bach, Beethoven, they're not going to know them. If you're talking modern day composers, John Williams is the name for most normal, your average Joe that just watches movies and stuff.
Yeah, and E.T. is another good example of a theme tune which is instantly recognizable. And then, as you said, the Twilight. It's gone.
Imperial March.
No, the UFOs.
Oh, Close Encounters, the first. Yeah, I did Close Encounters, I believe. I want to say E.T., although I'm not 100% sure on that. I know he did a lot of work for Lucas and Spielberg, so I would venture that most of Steven Spielberg's early works had John L. Williams doing the soundtrack for.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so we'll move on to the next question. He's going to time travel into another body. This person is someone from the board gaming spheres, and instead of just asking him straight out, who's it going to be? You have drawn us a picture.
Yes. Well, it's not a great picture, but all right. So this is a picture of a board game cover from one of my most influential designers. Also, well, I'm not gonna say anymore because it'll give away. But so I will go ahead and show the picture, and we'll see if you can guess it based off my horrible drawing. And again, I drew this in less than 2 minutes, so take it for what it's worth. But let's put it up here and see. I don't know if it's backwards in your screen or not, but
no, it's perfectly fine. That looks like, wow, there's lots of people attacking a dragon. I think I know what that is. I think I know what it is. I think I've got it right behind me.
Let's take a look and see.
Let's put me back on the screen for starters.
You nailed it. So yeah, so you can see the people fighting the dragon, the person in the corner. I even drew the little logo from Eagle Griffin Games. So yeah,
I didn't even notice that.
Defenders of the Realm. So it's my favorite game from one of my favorite designers, Richard Lanius. He's a very good friend of mine. I've also done work with him before. We've partnered up to do a few games. But Richard Lanius has always been and always will be just a designer who I love. He's all about thematics. He's all about just creating a story and a narrative. And that's always the first thing I look forward to in a really good game. I like abstract and I like Euros and I like games that just you play and they're fun. Yeah. But my favorite games are games that are dripping and oozing with theme. And he does an excellent job of putting theme into the game first and then building the game around it. So Defenders is one of my all-time greats from him. Also, Defenders The Last Stand would fit in that same category. I'm not as big a fan of his Arkham work, which is what he's most well known for, because I'm not into that theme. Yeah. But that being said, playing Arkham Horror and Elder Sign and those games, they're great games. They're just not my kind of games. But his Defenders series and other games that he's done, some games like the Batman Gotham Under Siege game. So many games that he infuses theme, and it's got a great story. It's like playing D&D in a box. I mean, Defenders will always be in my top 10 games of all time. It's just a great game by a great designer, and he's a great guy on top of it. So,
oh, wow. And so you'd go into his shoes to watch his life, or
like I know his life because he lives like 2 miles from me, and I go to his house weekly. But what I would like to do is drop back into his head back in the 80s when he was making all these games, and really, like, I know how he works, but I don't ever know how his design process works. So to be able to jump into his body and just be inside his head for even a little bit to see how he comes up with these ideas and worlds, because Defender's world he created himself, the Arkham world he created himself. Those universes are his. Just to get into the creative juices of how he comes up with those great things, and how he uses his art degree to kind of implement the theme into the game, because he does a lot of the graphics on his games in the prototype stage, and the publisher just has to redo the art, but he does a lot of the inspiration for it all behind the scenes. And it just amazes me how he does it. And he's still churning out games now, even into his 60s. He's still 30 plus years of doing it, and he's still got some great ideas that are coming down the pipeline. So I would definitely, as a person wanting to go into a game designer or industry person, to get inside his head a little bit to see how he does it would be fantastic.
Now, Defenders for me pushed out Pandemic, which is
me too. It's a theme in Pandemic. Yeah, you could say Pandemic is thematic to a certain degree, but it's not like Defenders, like not at all. Defenders just has got theme on top of theme.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to jump into him, I would make him publish the game with someone else instead of Eagle Griffin. And maybe it would be. But then again, that's just my reviewer's side. It's just like, there's some really great parts about the game, but there's some really bad parts which other publishers at the time were doing a lot better.
Well, I know that they're happy. I know that the Defenders line is not dead. I know that he's still trying to get more stuff, or do more things with Defenders. I don't know what's
Legacy.
I'm not sure what's in the books. I just know that I know that he said the Defenders line isn't dead, and I don't know if it's with Eagle Griffin still or someone else. But I would keep your ear to the pavement, because you'll probably hear something new about Defenders sometime in the next year or so.
Yeah. Okay. I will.
I don't know a whole lot. This is just stuff maybe a birdie chirped, but I think the Defenders line is not dead. Just keep your ears peeled, and you'll see hopefully something new down the line. Yeah. Cool. Arkham's always been a favorite of mine as well. Yeah, it is. It's a great game. Like I said, if I was into the Cthulhu mythos, that would be at the top of my list. But for me, from his lineup, it'd be Defenders, and then the Batman Gotham Under Siege game, which I actually helped did a little development on, but he did 99% of the game. It's amazing. And his Planet of the Apes game is actually really good too. A lot of people don't talk about it. Yeah. Didn't get a lot of marketing, but the Planet of the Apes game by IDW also is a really fun game. And it has a lot of that a Planet of the Apes theme, which a lot of people, it's an IP that's not as popular anymore, but it's still a really solid game. I mean, he's got, like I said, there's a lot of games. He did a bunch of games with 8th Summit games too. That Saving Time, which had a slow release because 8th Summit was sort of almost going out at that point, so it didn't get a lot of buzz. His zombie game that he did, Run Fight or Die. Yeah, that's an excellent zombie game. Like, from a company that makes zombie games, I know my zombie games, and it's a great zombie game. So it's a different style of game than Zombicide for sure, but it's fun. And it's a lot. It's just, it hits the right buttons. So yeah, like I said, his lineup, if you look at his lineup top to bottom, is really solid. So
yeah, okay, that was a good segue. We're now going to talk about you and your role, and of course, what's coming out and what's new from Cool Mini or Not.
Sure. So a little about myself. Like I said, I'm 46. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now. Started out as a volunteer with Asmodee. I did one year of volunteering to just run demos at Gen Con and Origins, and then they saw something they liked in me, so they brought me on part-time. So then I started running part of their demo crew, as well as helping do some rulebook editing and stuff on the side. And then 1 year our booths were next to CMON's, and they were looking to hire some new people, and they were checking out the other companies, and they noticed me and offered me a job to run their volunteer crew, which I did for 2 years. And then after that, after a couple of years doing that, I got promoted up to marketing, where I did marketing for about a year and a half. And then from there moved into sales, and now doing my job that I'm currently doing. I've been doing that for the last couple of years. So I've been with CMON for about 5 years now. I was with Asmodee for 2 years. And I just, like I said, I help retailers. I run their organized play program for the retailers. And I also do some marketing duties still, dealing with reviewers and review copies and that type of thing. So
I'm glad you said come on. And not
come
anything
on.
else.
Yeah. It's the branding. Yeah, it was always mispronounced. We never corrected it, but it finally decided, it's about time we get people pronouncing it right. So it was come on. Prior to the industry, though, I worked for UPS for 20 years. I was a driver. I started out part-time working in the facility loading trucks. After a couple of years, I got moved up to driver, and I did the driving for about 17 years. Worked part-time for about 3 years, so almost 20 years total. Retired from there because I just wasn't for me. It was a hard job. It wasn't my passion. This is my passion. So I made a leap of faith, and luckily it panned out for me. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. I've got a wife, a beautiful wife, Elizabeth. We got 2 kids, one 8, one is 21, who's on his way out. The other one's just getting into elementary school and going through that. So 2 dogs, a cat. I mean, it's the pretty much the family, the average family.
So Mr. Grogan, do you know Mr. Grogan, Paul of Gaming Rules?
Yeah. I would be the one you'd have to speak to. So you just email me at Pete, Pete at CMON.com. If you're a reviewer or if you're a retailer, and I can help either one of you.
There you go. So what's new from CMON?
Come on. So we got a lot. Actually, it's a great question, because we have a lot. Usually this time of year we're slowing down, but for this year we seem to be picking up. So we've got the Zombicide Second Edition. Yeah, we got Zombicide Second Edition on Kickstarter right now. It's a re-implementation of the original Zombicide. We've updated the rules, so the shooting rule has now been fixed, so that it's not as tough on the players as it was. We've obviously our sculpts have gotten better over the years, so now we've got new sculpts for all the figures, new expansions like the Washington Z. So it adds new areas. But for those people who still own all the original Zombicide, we also have an upgrade kit. So people who have that original Zombicide can just buy the upgrade kit and get all the new dashboards and the new dashboard system, the new decks of cards, but be able to use all their old stuff that they may already have painted and set up. So it's good for the old Zombicide user. It's good for the new person getting in. But like I said, the production quality has been amped up. The rules have been cleaned up a little bit, and it's a good new start for new players, and it's a great addition to an already great game going on. Our Song of Ice and Fire stuff is going strong. We're pumping out new expansions for that. At Gen Con, we announced Targaryens are coming up. So that's the next big faction that's going to be implemented into the game. That's our Zombicide Kickstarter page. If you go to Kickstarter and search Zombicide Second Edition, you can see all the great stuff that we've got for the new Zombicide role-playing game, which I forgot to mention. We actually have a role-playing system now that uses the Zombicide brand. So you can actually play with your favorite Zombicide characters in a role-playing setting. So
and I was well shocked by the trailer for the Zombicide.
With Danny Trejo, we were so excited when he agreed to do that trailer for us, because Cholo was always modeled in his likeness. I mean, that character embodies everything he stands for, and for him to actually come in now and be a part of it. So now we actually have him in the game. I mean, it's perfect. If you like that character, if you like Danny Trejo, jump in at least to get his little mini expansion so that you can play with him in the game. But it's great. So we're real excited about it. And like I said, it's doing well. It's already over 1.5 million. We still have time left to go. There's still time for you to get in if you're seeing this. And it's end of October, early November. You'll have some time with late pledge, probably till mid-November, end of November. So if you're catching this video, even if it's done, look for the late backing. And we're doing retail pledges. So if you missed it, check with your friendly local retailer, because if they retail backed it, you can buy it through them.
Cool. And you were talking about
Song of Ice and Fire. So Targaryens is the next giant army expansion coming out. But leading up to that, we have a lot of expansions for the Free Folk, Night's Watch, for the Baratheons, which was our most recent release expansions, and as well as the Starks and Lannisters that started out in the original game. So we're still moving full steam ahead with that. We're pumping out expansions every month except December. We always take December off to give the retailers a break and give us some catch-up time. But every month you can expect to see a couple new releases for Song of Ice and Fire, and every once or twice a year you'll also see a new faction coming out. So if you like that genre, if you like that IP, it's a great 2-player tactical miniatures game. The production quality is fantastic. The gameplay's quick. So give it a look. It's a Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game. So that's the two big things we've got going on right now. Next year we're primed for a big year. We'll be having the Tabaroo system on Kickstarter, which is the digital implementation of our board games that combines digital and physical into a great environment for playing games. We're going to have Ankh coming out in 2020, which is the 3rd game in the Eric Lang trilogy, which will introduce the Egyptians as the theme for this game. So it'll fall in line with Blood Rage, Rising Sun, and then Ankh. So we're excited about that. We have some other stuff that I can't talk about that'll be coming out. So it's going to be a big year for us next year. I definitely am excited about all the things that we're going to have to offer. So look forward to talking more about that maybe next year a little bit about some of that stuff. But already, even with what we've just announced, Cyberpunk 2077, the card game coming out. We had some big announcements at Gen Con, and I'm excited to see that stuff come out because I think it's going to do real well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big Cool Mini or Not person, but the games that I have played of Cool Mini I found really, really kind of in production wise fantastic and phenomenal. Like the God of War card game and the Eric Lang game. It's escaping me, which is where the Victorian steampunk.
Victorian Masterminds.
Yes.
With Antoine Balza and Eric Lang, yes.
Yeah, that was very good. I enjoyed that with the chips and very clever.
Yeah. Yeah, that game's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Shall we move on with the show?
Sure.
But first,
this video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
I'm getting my voice back still from messing. I've worn it out and I sounded a bit like Bonnie Tyler or Rod Stewart. I tried singing to Queen this morning and there were certain notes that just just disappeared. It was like a ghost had gone down my throat and nicked this note. And it was like, la, 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 la. Oh, well. But anyway, we've talked about music. We've talked about board games. Now we're going to be talking about TV and film and board games. This is a kind of double entendre question. Now, Pete is going to slip into another body. He's going to do a Sam Beckett into someone from the TV or the movie world, maybe an art director or an actor or a screenwriter. And instead of just telling us again, we're going to play this in a game. And Pete's going to give me 5 one-worded clues. And so if you're watching live and you're in the chat, see if you can guess who it is. But also the double entendre of this question is the person that he wants to slip into, and not only why he wants to slip into them, but they are related to a film or a TV program that he would like to see made into a board game. So it ties back in. Okay. So are you ready with your first word?
Okay, first word. Large.
Berkey. No.
Sorry, Kevin. That's all him.
Yeah, this game is so hard without him. I miss him when I do this bit of the show. Large personality. Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Water.
Large water. Oh. You want to be a great white shark?
No.
Okay, that's not really an actor, is it? Or a director. Okay, next.
All right.
Water.
Extinct.
A megalodon. So Jason Statham.
How did you get it? I didn't even jump back that far. I jumped back to last year. The reason I chose the Meg was because of the end of the question. What movie would you like to see made into a board game? So the Meg from last year. So the other ones was prehistoric, extinct, shark. It was the Meg. I would want to jump back into Jason Statham from the Meg movie, and I would love to see a board game made about that. It was going to be Jaws, but Ravensburger killed that by making a Jaws game last month. So it would have been that for sure, easily. And then there's a hack that made a shark game a couple years ago, Shark Island, which is not named off. It's themed after Jaws, but not really using the IP. But yes, the Meg. I mean, I love sharks, right? Everyone who knows me knows I love sharks. So
that's how I guessed so easily.
If there's a shark game that can be made, I'm in for it. And the only other movies that really have been well received would be like the first Deep Blue Sea movie and the Meg. So I would love to see a Meg movie or board game made. I've actually started designing one just because it's the way I work. But to see a really good Meg movie where you can either play as the Meg or play as the people trying to stop the Meg from terrorizing the world. Yeah, absolutely. My original vision for Shark Island was a Meg game, but I was too new at designing. And when Richard came on to help me with it, he said, we can pare this down, and you like Jaws more than a Megalodon. So why don't we theme it after that and make it more, and which is what Shark Island ended up turning out to be. But without a doubt, I would love to see a Meg game come out. There was supposed to be a Sharknado game that was supposed to come out a couple years ago. It was on Kickstarter, but it kind of flopped. So that would probably be next, just for a whimsical fun game. I'd like to see a good Sharknado game, maybe that you could not take seriously and just kind of like a party game or something. But for a big, deep strategic board game, I'd love to see the Meg.
While I was at Essen, it was on telly here in France. So
okay.
My wife recorded it just for my daughter, and so they were watching it, and they said it's really, really really bad.
The Meg movie or the shark?
No, Sharknado.
Oh yeah, Sharknadoes are meant to be bad. That's part of its stigma. They're meant to be over the top, ridiculous. That's just the way they do it. So you have to know that going in, or else you'll have to know it going in, or you'll hate it. So they were watching it a bit last night as well, and I've still got images of these really bad CGI sharks in the White House and the cheesy acting. It's horrible, but it's funny horrible. Like, you watch it because you want to see all those cringeworthy scenes where you're like, I can't believe they did that. That was awesome, and then I'd see more of them, not because they were good, but just because they went over the top.
Okay, so you'd slip into Jason Statham, not just be Jason Statham and have that kind of Cockney British accent,
Well, the accent wouldn't be bad. I mean,
he kicks some butt.
He's considered pretty sexy, so it wouldn't be the worst person to jump into. But yeah, more so because I'd love to see a Meg board game. That the back part of the question is the main reason I chose the Meg. If I was going to go back to, there's so many other good classic movies I'd like to just go back and see being made. But for a game that I'd like to see come out, I mean, Star Wars has already got plenty of games, so that kind of Lord of the Rings has got some good games out. Yeah. No one has taken that Meg property and done a game with it yet. So,
but there's going to be a sequel.
Yep, and maybe once it gets a little more popular, if the sequel is as good as the original or even better, then maybe someone will say, "Hey, we could make a board game out of that," and that'd be great. So we'll see.
And the Deep Blue Sea was the one with Samuel L. Jackson and the robot.
Yeah, and LL Cool J. Yeah, that was a funny, kind of serious, kind of funny. It was kind of in between like Jaws and Sharknado. There was some over the top funny scenes, but there was also, I think overall it was meant to be like, this could really happen if you genetically modified mako sharks and they got loose. And so, but there were some scenes that you're like, okay, now this is, but it was still fun and entertaining movie. The second one, not so much. The first one was great. The second one went straight to DVD. It didn't even go to theaters.
I went to the cinema and watched that, and I was like, yeah, this is all right. And I could tell when all the jump scares were going to happen. And then when Samuel L. Jackson got it, that shocked me. And that was the one no one saw coming. Yeah, but it like I said, it had its moments. It's not a great movie, but it's not a bad movie. And for shark movies to not be bad is already a success, because most of them, other than Jaws, are pretty bad. They're getting better, but they still got a ways to go. So where would you list the Meg? I would list it as number 2 behind Jaws. And then
Yeah,
Jaws 2.
yeah, it would be Jaws, The Meg, Jaws 2, and then there's some decent other movies like the 47 Meters Below and The Shallows weren't bad movies.
All
So
right.
the Deep Blue Sea, The Shallows, the 47 Meters Below would all be in that 3, 4, 5, 6 category probably, or 4, 5, 6 category. But
Mhm.
definitely The Meg, Jaws, the original Jaws, and Jaws 2 would be the top 3 for
Yeah.
me. And then the rest would all kind of, I would have to really think about it, but they'd all kind of filter in there. I mean, I even have a soft spot in my heart for Jaws 3 and Jaws 4. I mean, they're horrible movies, but they're still part of the franchise. So there's love for me in them, but I can understand why most people think that they're rubbish, and they're not wrong. So
going back to the game idea, where would you base it? Would you base it on an underwater base, or would you base it on an island?
the idea I originally had was to have a map of like coastal, but then also deep ocean. So it'd be like a fairly large map, and the shark would basically hidden movement through sectors, doing its thing with events that would pop up that would trigger people in the water. You know, you get skiers, you get boaters, you get a wedding on sea, you got the beach people, and the players would all be in vessels trying to go around and rescue people and try to tranquilize the Meg, and it would be in stages. So the idea that I originally had, and the idea that I'm kicking around on my work that I'm doing with it is just you're going to basically, one person's going to be the shark, and the shark players basically idea is to cause mayhem and just cause destruction. And then the player's job is to try to save people and trank the shark so that they can either, and each person's role would be different. So the scientist wants to trank the shark and capture it to study it. The hunters want to kill it. Then there's each person's role would be slightly different based on who they are. So it would cause a little bit of, different play style. Yeah. Yeah. So they're not all working together, but they are working together. So they have to work together to probably corner the shark and kill it or capture it, but only, but they don't necessarily want it to go one way or the other. They want to either take it out, or they want to kill it, or they want to capture it, or they want to study it. So yeah, there's definitely would be that style of game, and it would probably be more in the theme, like Shark Island was more of a card game. This would definitely be more of a game like a Letters from Whitechapel or something, where it's more hidden movement deduction style.
Yeah,
that's what I would like to see. If whether I did it or someone else did it, that's the kind of game I'd want to see.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. That's one thing I never thought of, is the aspect of you're a player trying to save all these NPCs from being eaten by the shark or killed by the shark.
Yeah. Because that's essentially what the crew of the movie were trying to do is lure the shark out to deep sea to save all the people on the beach, while the other guy, he just wants to kill the shark so he wouldn't get sued. But the scientist wanted to capture the shark and study it. So that everyone had different motives. The movie tailed away from it. The books more in line had that description. Like the leading lady and her dad in the movie wanted to capture the shark and put it in a big pen to observe it, study it, and also let other people see it, which happened in the books. But in the movie, they veered away from that storyline. Whereas Jason Statham wanted, and the owner of the company wanted to kill the shark, just so it wouldn't cause damage. The owner for different reasons, because he was thinking liability. Jason was just Statham's character, who wanted to just kill the shark so it wouldn't kill other people. So he'd already seen the death up close and didn't want that to happen. So all of them had different motivations. And I think that would make an interesting game, having the players come from different motivations and score differently based on what actually happens. So they have to work together, but they don't. So
very nice. Hopefully. Couple years time.
Yeah, hopefully.
Kickstarter, cool mini or not.
No, that's not really the kind of game I think this company would do. But I'm sure there's a company out there that may pick up the IP and be interested in it. You never know.
Yeah, I can think of a few, but I'm not going to mention their names because they'll probably just be print and play copies. Okay, we're going to move on to the last question. Now, this one is open-ended. If you are going to be Sam Beckett and you can jump into anyone you wanted to, who would it be and why?
Oh, that one is even easier than John L. Williams. So growing up as a kid, my grandfather was the most inspirational person to me. He basically raised me. My mom was a single mom. My grandparents were extremely influential in my youth growing up. But, they'd make sure I had clothes to go to school. They'd make sure I always had food and would always make sure that even though my mom couldn't afford to always give me everything in the world, they always stepped in to help at Christmases and birthdays to make sure that I had a normal childhood. Yeah. My grandfather is the one who instilled my work ethic, is the one who instilled my drive, and he went way too soon. I would love to go back into his younger days and just to be able to just see his life from his perspective back before I was even around, back in the 20s or 30s or 40s when the family was just being, built, and to see, my uncles and aunts and my mom and his kids. And it would just be very interesting retrospective of my family to be able to see it through his eyes back when he was my age or younger. Just moving our family from New York to Florida and getting it started and all that. It just, for me, that would be it. I mean, I would love to just get that introspective because he passed away when I was too young. So I didn't get to know him I knew him well, but I didn't get to know him like I would have liked to have. So to have an opportunity to see through him again would be awesome.
Okay. Very interesting. I mean, it's the more I do this show, the more interesting characters come up. And again, you're not the only one that's said that they would like to, go back in time and see their grandfather and experience what they experienced when they went through the war, or again, you hear secondhand these stories that what your grandparents did in their lifetime. And it's always interesting, but and maybe it makes you idolize them a bit more because the story is a bit more heroic.
Sure. Yeah, he was in World War II. He was stationed in the Philippines. He was an immigrant. He came over through Ellis Island from Italy. My grandfather and my grandmother were both from Sicily. So to see that time, not only for the retrospective on the time period, which was fascinating as people were migrating to the States on record pace and coming through Ellis Island and all the different boroughs of New York where he grew up, and just that time period. There's been so many movies made about the time period, and you always wonder how accurate they really are. That time period was pretty interesting to me. And the fact that my grandparents lived through it and were part of it would be fascinating to go back and see.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My grandparents came from Italy as well. Mm-hmm. Italy and Malta, and then during the war, after the war, they moved to Egypt. My grandfather worked for an oil company, and then there was a big revolution in Egypt, and they were kicked out. And he lost his house, he lost everything. They just had to pack up their clothes and go. So
wow, see, stuff like that, you in today's society you don't think of because. But back then, that kind of stuff was normal. I mean, stuff like that happened in small countries all the time. There was a different time. And I think if more people today saw what life was like 60, 70 years ago, they may appreciate the life we have now.
And again, I mean, you just got to turn on the news nowadays. You see all those dislodged Syrians moving away from
they're going through stuff that people went through a long time ago. It still happens today. I think a lot of people just live very sheltered lives and they take for granted a lot of the luxuries we have. So,
yeah. So on that sad note,
no, it's a good thing. Like, it's not a sad, I miss my grandfather, but it's more of a, would love to just honor him by seeing what he went through and learning from it. There's a lot to learn from our elder people. You can learn a lot about life. You can learn a lot about ethics. You can learn a lot about just the time period and how different it is, and good and bad. There's good things that happened back then and bad things that happen, and there's a lot to be learned from it. So, history is important. I hate when people, always look forward and not backwards. You can learn a lot by looking backwards once in a while.
You can, and you can save a lot of money by looking backwards instead of looking forwards as well. This game's coming out. This game's coming out.
Oh, you got that right. You can take those parallels into just about everything, but you're absolutely right. If people appreciated what we have now, they may not have to always buy the nice shiny new thing every time it comes out.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and also thank you very much, Pete. Is there any site that you wish to be, if they're
I'm not a big self-promoter, but I definitely would say if you're interested or like the Zombicide franchise, please check out the Zombicide 2nd Edition on Kickstarter. You can also go to CMON.com to check out any of the games that the company I work for, Cool Mini or Not, produces. We've got a lot of new stuff coming out. We have all of our Gen Con announcements and stuff, and I'm sure most of the things that we talked about at Essen will all be on our website. So absolutely, I know this is more of this is a company plug, but I don't self-promote much. So this is more what I do is I try to push the company forward. So check those sites out, and like I said, in the 2nd edition Kickstarter will be still on for a little while, plus we'll have late backing for even longer. So if you're interested in that or anything Cool Mini or Not, just check out our website and check out the Kickstarter page. And other than that, Yeah, if you know me, you can always check out my Facebook page. I post my life's happenings, what I'm painting, what my dogs are doing, what my daughter's doing. That's pretty much the only page I do anything on social media wise. I have a Twitter.
Sharks.
Don't use it. Yep, shark stuff, sure.
Sharks.
I have a Twitter, but I don't use it that often. I usually just follow stuff. I don't post a lot on there. So
yeah. And another plug is if you can find Pete and probably me sometimes on a Wednesday night on the Alaboom with the honorable grandfather himself, Lance
Mixter, yeah. Yep, every Wednesday that we have a show, usually you'll see one of the two of us, if not both of us, on there. And another good plug, because not only if you come and visit the Cool Mini team at a show, but you can also see Berkey's Tabletoppers, which I own one. It's sitting about 6 feet over there. We know you've got one just off camera. So yeah, absolutely. If you're a fan of gaming and you don't have a great Surface, you should definitely check out Berkey's Tabletoppers. You can see him at conventions. A lot of publishers are carrying it now. Also, you can check it out at his website. So there's a picture of Berkey right there on the screen. So if you're in the market for a table, you should definitely check out his site. Which, do you have the website link or the website address?
It's GameToppersLLC.com.
There you go. Let's throw out a plug to our sponsor.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching. You can find all these videos and other stuff, board game reviews, board game podcast with Berkey and Badger, board game music with me, of course, all over at boardgameseverybodyshould.com. That's it. Ciao. Thank you very much for watching. And remember to please play nicely while I find the outro music. There it is. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games.